Hi, it's me, Tracy, your literary and tea time companion, with double the fun today. Two book tags, the What's Next book tag and our TBRs Fun or Not tag. So please join me in the library corner for a double dose of bookish fun. Very recently, I was tagged by the lovely Pat of Book Chat with Pat. She did a double book tag, and I'm following in a similar line since I've decided to do both of the tags that she presented. And they are two original tags, the first being the What's Next original tag by Bob of Robert G. Reader of Books. And the second tag will be the original tag, Are TBRs Fun or Not, created by Candy of the Great Library Rabbit Hole. And thank you to both of you for creating these tags, and thank you, Pat, for inviting me to join the fun. Both of the tags, as you might guess, are related in that what's next for our reading, and are TBRs fun or not? Let's find out. I'll start off with Bob's tag, the what's next. And there are several questions for this. And the first prompt is your decision for choosing your next book based on random chance, or is there a method to your madness? Definitely a method to the madness. There's always a method to the madness, and I plan my reading each month. If you've seen my recent video, Reading for Life, talking about my lifelong love of books, and a little bit behind the scenes of how I approach my life with reading and books, and I read over many genres, and there is intention behind my reading, and I often have books that there's something about the topic that I really want to know about, or even with fiction, I seem to be drawn to something in particular at that moment, or I'm planning something like my Jane Austen reading year. I love a reading. I love devotion. I love devotion to a particular topic. And so that's how I approach my reading. But I do read for fun as well. The manga, it's really kind of a palate cleanser sometimes between reading. Sometimes I'm reading some books that have very serious topics, or there's a lot to think about, or even just between fiction reads. I find manga is just enjoyable and entertaining. Oftentimes those have some great themes to deal with as well that are life relevant. So it's a bit of a mix, but I like something that makes me laugh too. And this kind of segues into question number 2. Do your criteria for choosing fiction differ from how you choose nonfiction? No, not really. Like an example is my Regency reading project. I'm reading a work of fiction, either by Jane Austen or another fiction work from the Regency period, alongside a nonfiction work, something related to the history, the art, architecture, multiple things from the time period. I like stacking my reading. I like reading a particular topic, a particular person, even like with a biography and their life, but I will also read a book from the time period, informing me more about the time period that person has lived in or lives in now. I like things that do double duty, I guess. I guess is what that means. Number 3, do other people influence your next choice? No and yes. I love the recommendations. I love everyone's recommendations that they offer me here, or my friends in my daily life. I love all the recommendations, and I do make note of them. But I tend to choose reading based on how or where I want to broaden my horizons, especially with maybe nonfiction topics. And as I said, with fiction, I'm drawn in a particular book in a moment, or maybe there's been a book of fiction on my list that I've been wanting to read for a while, and well, I'm reading it now, and it's a bit like that. It's whatever story I want to get lost in, or topic, whatever I want to get lost in. And number 4, aside from other people, what other influences might impact your choice? Well, I guess I'm my own influencer. Can I say that? But there are lots of influences, I suppose. Things that are happening in the world right now are very interesting, sometimes upsetting as well. So there's things to read about those topics. History interests me very much. So like with the fiction and the nonfiction reading in tandem, I do a lot of that. So it's everything's the influences outside, but also what's happening inside my heart as well. Something particular just calls to me, and I answer the call. And I suppose mostly I set my own course for reading most of the time. I don't follow trends too much in reading, or anything in life. I don't really follow trends at all in life. I tend to I tend to wait for the storm to pass, and then when it's calm again, I will come back and see what all the fuss is about. And number 5 for Bob's tag, tag some friends, and I will do more of that at the end. So this will segue into Candy's tag, are TBRs fun or not, her original tag. And Candy said that if you want to take part in this conversation, you can use a hashtag TBR fun or not. And of course, I will be tagging. And the prompts to consider around this conversation. There's several prompts for this one. Number 1, how many books are currently or normally on your TBR? Honestly, I don't know the number. I don't count, because there are so many books, and sometimes there's a little bit of fluctuation, and the books are just on my list, and I love making a list. I enjoy lists, but the numbers don't matter to me. Numbers and stats don't matter too much for me. It's a lot. It's a lot. Number 2, how do you choose TBR books? And have you ever gamified your TBR? Example, prompt jar, TBR games. No, I have never gamified my TBR. I've never done the jars or the wheels. No, none of those. I like games. I love a board game or a quiz, but I've never gamified my reading. And if I call it anything, it's a reading list. I don't actually tend to use the word TBR too often. I mean, I will use it in tags and things like that, because it's sort of become the terminology, the mode of doing BookTube and being public with one's reading. But I don't actually really use them. I don't use that sort of terminology, the BookTube lingo. I don't tend to really use it. I simply make lists. It's a reading list, and I make a plan, and I chip away at it over time. And I have, if you haven't seen one of my previous videos or my Reading for Life video, I have a longer going TBR over multiple genres, and I select from each genre every month what I will read for the month. So there is a selection process. And number 3, do you have reading areas of focus to choose books for? If yes, how many? Yes, as I say, or if you've been here for a little while, I read over many genres. Poetry is a big one. Oh, I've always loved poetry. fiction, classic fiction, as well as contemporary fiction, and other subgenres under the big umbrella of fiction. I do read a lot of fiction, nonfiction, topics that I really would like to learn more about, or something I want to learn how to do. Things that I am passionate about, or things in the world or the news that I want to learn more about. And spirituality, I suppose, could be its own genre. Spirituality is, it's a theme I don't talk about much here, but it is actually a rather important part of my life. I have a very rich spiritual life that really matters to me and supports me in my life. And I like to select reading that that aids my spirit and my heart in hopefully becoming a more loving person in this world. And number 4, does your TBR help you focus? Yes. If I don't write it down, if I don't have a list, I would be all over the place, because my brain wants to go everywhere and do everything. Yes, I have a focus most of the time, and a purpose for my reading and my life in general. They work in tandem, I find. And number 5, do you suffer from the book noise of a TBR? No. If it says anything, it's whispering to me. It's saying, "Hello, darling, come and play with me. Come and read me." Just my list is calling to me all of the time. But no, I don't. I don't suffer from the noise of it at all. It just calls to me sweetly all the time. Number 6, do you give your TBR a time limit? And does a TBR make you stress about reading quickly enough? No, not really. I suppose the biggest thing that I feel most of the time is that I maybe need another lifetime to read all of the books that I I would like to get around to. There are so many books, just so many good things to read, and I suppose that we all probably feel that way, if we had a body double to double up on the reading. But no, I don't generally feel any stress with my reading list, my TBR. No, reading should be pleasurable, not stressful. And number 7, do you have rebellion syndrome, not wanting to read a book because you put it on your TBR and now you feel you have to read it? No, I've never felt a book rebellion, TBR rebellion. A book is on the list because I really want to read it, and I organize my reading in such a way that monthly, that I really want to read it in this particular time period, and I'm always pretty in tune with what I want to read, with what my heart feels like it wants, what it needs. And so there's never any conflict for me. I don't ever suddenly feel, oh no, I don't want to read this. I've never really experienced that. And number 8, do you keep books on your TBR until they are read, or swap the TBR around regularly? There's usually lots coming and going from the TBR. And I can maybe talk a little bit more about this in addition to another question about how I do my list. But they stay on the TBR generally until they are read. And yes, the list is the list. There have been occasions where maybe I have taken something off of the list, or perhaps I've added things to a list twice. I mean, I'm just human. I make a mistake, but nothing like that. No. Number 9, have you ever killed a book by having it on your TBR too long? No. If it's been on my list, my reading list for a while, it's usually because maybe I've not gotten around to it. I've not planned it from the longer list into a particular month, tying it in with other reading, or mainly since I rely on the library for the great majority of my reading, it's simply due to getting hold of the book. And I work it in such a way that I'm working from my longer TBR and pairing things up for a month and ordering in such a time that a book through Interloan, say, I allow time for that. And there are times when I have experienced this with my Jane Austen reading project. In January, I planned for a lot of reading, and some of the books did appear to be in the library system here. But then when I've come to a particular month, a particular title is suddenly not available. It is lent out. Or I have experienced a couple of books just being lost in the system. They are no longer available. It's very, very baffling. I'm usually given not quite clear answers on why that can be. And sometimes they are older books that are just taken out of circulation sometimes. So it's as simple as that. If I'm waiting, it's just I'm waiting on a list or for a book to become available, and so that I can be on a list. And the number 10, do you have a tick list for your TBR to tick books off as you read them? As I mentioned in my Reading for Life video, my TBR is in kind of a transition phase where I'm going from a handwritten system to a spreadsheet, and I have all of the different genres that I'm reading, and everything is listed, and I put a date on completion. So it's rather satisfying to just see what I've read for the month of May, for instance, since we've just had the month of May, but I just put a date where I have read it. I don't put ticks and crossings out and that sort of thing. So I'm not putting multiple layers of showing completion of my reading. It's pretty simple. Number 11, what one change do you think would help your TBR be more fun? A bit like how I have done my handwritten tracking of books or lists. I add color or highlighter. I would like to be able to maybe incorporate some color into how my digital form of TBR is appearing to me. I like some color, so that would be fun to do. I'm still in the process of doing the digital, so going over to the spreadsheet. It's taking a little longer than anticipated, but yes, as I mentioned before, the TBR is long. There's a lot I would like to read. And number 12, final conclusion. Are TBRs fun or not? Yes, I would say that they are a lot of fun. I like making lists. I've been a list maker pretty much all of my life, and certainly for books I want to read. And it's satisfying to see the list of things that I have read and look back on that, what I have read. In my handwritten system, I had a little bit of a star system. I would select certain titles from each month, and that's how I select my reading for top reads for the year. So maybe I will see if I can put some other stars or color coding or something into my digital TBR. And number 13 is to tag people. And I will tag some wonderful BookTube friends in the description box, and hope you will join in on the fun. If you haven't already, if you have played already, that's wonderful. I'm sorry if by the time I'm filming this, if you have already joined in on either one of these tags, or if there's one tag you've done and maybe not the other, please consider joining in on the fun of one that you haven't joined in already. And thank you, Bob, for the very fun What's Next tag, and thank you, Candy, for this TBR tag. It's been a lot of fun, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What's next for reading for you, and how do you plan your reading, and how do you feel about TBRs? Share some of the answers to some of the prompts. I would love to hear about your TBR life as well. And thank you so much for joining me here today for a double dose of bookish fun with some very fun book tags. And thank you for these original tags. And so until next time with more bookish adventures, I wish you all happy reading, and as always, many blessings. I will see you again very soon.